second is a conditional use hearing, 12 PA.
Yeah, it's
open the hearing.
Yeah, 12 PA 8 Roman numeral 18 LP is the applicant. This is an application filed by the entity that we just stated, and this was filed. I'm trying to see what the filing date was, but I can't read the time. So in any event, when we received the conditional use application, we advertised it for a public hearing this evening in the newspaper as required by the municipality's planning code. And subsequent to that advertisement, we received a letter dated November 18th, 2019 from the attorney for the applicant, extending the time in which the Board of Supervisors must hold the first hearing on this matter until January 31st, 2020. So my recommendation to the board is, Mr. Chairman, if you would entertain a motion to open a hearing on this application, and let's have that motion pass first, and then I will immediately ask for a second motion to continue the hearing until January 22nd, 2020.
Okay.
So first motion to open a hearing.
Do I have a motion to open the hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So a motion is second. Any questions from the board? From the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Now you need a motion to close.
To continue.
Continue, I'm sorry.
On the record, the hearing until Wednesday, January 22nd, 2020 at 7:00 p.m. in this room.
Okay. Do I have such a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. My question is, what happens on that January day?
Ostensibly, if there's no other extensions given and the applicant is ready to proceed, we have a conditional use hearing.
And the applicant will be at this meeting?
If it's not continued, absolutely.
Okay. Because I'm sure there's some neighbors out there that would like to be part of that meeting.
Oh, no question about it. But there will be no further advertisements in the newspaper or other notices mailed to anybody unless the township chooses to do that on its own. And that's the reason why we're opening the hearing formally and continuing it on the record so that we don't have to re-advertise and repost the property with that notice.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second on the continuance. Any further questions from the board? From the public? Yes, sir.
Mr. McAtee, can you turn your microphone on?
Yes.
Thank you.
For that. So my name is Joseph McAtee, so I just wanted to quickly address what you just did. So essentially, I didn't get a notification that it was going to be continued. Obviously, you didn't know that it was because it was not approved. You're not going to re-advertise, and the problem with that is, you know, it almost looks like, you know, the applicant decided that instead of having the community know about the meeting, they can continue it, not have it re-advertised, so less people come in the community. It just doesn't seem like a good community service, especially with the sensitivity of what they're doing to the property and with the amount of community, you know, really pushback on the overall proposals. So I think that doesn't make sense to me, so I would like to state my disapproval. That's all I have to say.
Well, we can post the date on the television and also on the website. There will be another meeting in the interim of which we can announce it again. And basically we're making that announcement right now. So hopefully anyone watching that isn't here tonight will know that on the 20th, this will be continued.
I thought it was the 22nd.
22nd.
20 who?
January 22nd.
22nd, I'm sorry. Don't come on the 20th, come on the 22nd, my fault.
No one will be here.
Right. So I would suggest that we send out mailers and also post it, you know, on Patch and in the Newtown, any newspaper. That might be an expense, and probably the applicant should pay that since, you know, they're the ones continuing it.
Mr. Solicitor, whose responsibility is that to notify the adjacent homeowners within like what, a 500-foot radius? Is that the applicants or the townships?
I believe, is it 500 feet, Mr. Lewis?
Yes, and it's the applicant's responsibility
Yeah.
for conditional use.
It's the applicant's responsibility, however, for tonight, did those notices go out?
Yes,
They did,
yes.
okay. The applicant's pay. Excuse me, hold on. We have to do this in an orderly fashion, okay? I'm asking Mr. Lewis whether the notices to within residents within 500 feet were mailed, and he's gonna give me a response.
I believe they were.
If they weren't, I suggest that the town should do it again at the applicant's expense. If they were, then it would be, to do it again would be on the township, at the township's expense.
I did receive a mailer.
You did?
Yes,
So they
but
just
I'm
didn't go out.
I'm adjacent to the property.
Well, okay.
But you didn't.
But you got a letter.
A continuance.
You
Yeah.
got a letter from Toll Brothers.
Yes, I got a letter from their attorney, and I also got a letter from Micah.
Okay. So it seems like those notices were mailed out, or
But I can't speak to the other neighbors that are within 500 feet.
I understand there's one waiting to talk behind you. As I said, it seems to me that notices, or at least some, were mailed out. That was at the expense of the applicant. If the township is under no legal obligation, nor is the applicant, to do that again because this hearing is being continued on the record, that doesn't mean that they can't do it at the township's expense.
Why was the meeting opened if no one was here to represent?
Because there's time limits provided by the municipality's planning code that we have to open a hearing within so many days of the application being filed, and when somebody asks for an extension, the common practice is to open the hearing and continue it on the record so that you don't have to advertise and repost again.
Yeah.
It is common for projects such as this.
Okay. Thank you.
And the timeline was around the advertisement.
Yeah.
We had to do the advertisement, and the advertisement had already been done.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Hi, I'm David Steinberg. I live in Newtown Meadows, which I believe I'm within 500 feet of the applicant. Yes, I did get a letter. It said, keep an eye on your website. Did not give a date, did not say when, said it's coming soon. That's a little different than what you just described, which is it will be at this and this time and this meeting. And it was a certified letter, but it didn't actually tell us anything. It told us, it gave us a nice little diagram that none of us could see, even with magnifying glasses, and no dates. So you can say, yes, they did advertisement, maybe this gentleman got a date, but the rest of us didn't.
Where did that letter come from that you're talking about?
Toll's lawyers, I believe.
I have a letter.
I don't have the letter with me.
So what you're saying wasn't very informative.
No, it told me to keep an eye on your website and look at your agenda.
I mean, isn't there something more required for these letters?
Yes.
So they didn't meet the requirement. They
I don't know what letter was sent. I don't know to whom. This
Why
gentleman
don't you take a
seems
look
to.
at the letter?
This gentleman seems to think that he's located within 500 feet, but we don't know that for sure. What they do is they take
They thought the necessity to make me go to the mailbox and to go to the post office and sign for a certified letter to make sure that it is known that I was notified. So that's kind of...
And that was from Toll?
Yeah.
Okay, so you would be within 500 feet. Where's the letter?
I have it right here.
I didn't bring it with me.
I have a copy of it.
Can I see that, Phil, please?
Yeah, there's no date.
I didn't think it was on me, beholden, to keep the documents with me to show you guys.
Well,
I
this
thought
is-
they
this
supposed
is-
to file it to you.
This is the notice of, excuse me, this is the notice, excuse me, this is the notice of a minor subdivision application. This is not notice of a conditional use hearing, two separate proceedings completely. So why you got this And why you didn't get notice of the conditional use hearing, I cannot answer that question. But if you got this only, is this all you got from Toll?
I got a letter from Mike.
Okay, and what did that say? Because you're here tonight, you had to know something was going on. Okay,
So did I in the patch.
okay.
Mr. Sander, if I may, let me reach out to Toll, and if they did not correctly send mailers for this application, I will have them do so for
Yeah,
22nd.
they'll do it again, at their expense.
At their expense, correct.
Hold on, no, you have to come up and, there you go.
I'm on 196 Twining, so I'm probably about 50 feet from where this thing's going to apparently sort of be done. I got this letter, sorry, Gary Hopkins, 196 Twining Bridge Road. I got this from, I think, maybe from you guys, or somebody saying that this meeting was taking place tonight. That's all I've received. I had no idea it had been continued, cancelled, postponed,
Well,
pushed
a lot
back.
of times that happens at the last minute, and I understand that, and we apologize if you came out for this and now it's continued.
Yeah.
I understand that that's a slight inconvenience, and I apologize for that. We
Who
can't.
requested it be delayed? Toll Brothers or you?
Toll Brothers.
This is the second or third time that they have treated this whole process pretty appallingly. The first time they weren't prepared.
It's their application, okay?
You know,
They're
we need to take
we
into
can't,
consideration-
let me finish. We can't dismiss it or deny it until they decide to go forward with it. We have nothing on the record to deny. We have an application, we don't know anything about it, and we have to hear that case. And if they are asking for an extension, it's common for governing bodies to say, we'll wait until you're ready, because until then, nothing's going to happen.
Do you vote on that day, the 31st or whatever the date you decide it's going to be? Do you vote on whether this goes forward or not that day?
We may vote on the conditional use aspect. That is not the approval of final land development plans. 2 or 3 different things going on here. There's a conditional use, which is they're asking just to allow the homes that they propose to be located in this zoning district. That's number one. That's what was supposed to be tonight, but is continued. And secondly, you have a minor subdivision application, which I think is just a lot line change. That doesn't give them any right to build anything. And then third, you'll have a full-blown land development plan that will show all of the engineered plans, the stormwater management, the traffic, the lighting, the you name it, sewer and water and all that stuff. That will come as the last step, and that will be before the Planning Commission and then before this board ultimately for a decision.
Okay, that's fair. I think I'm going to put on record that I just think we should hold Toll Brothers to some sort of standard of informing us when these meetings are going to take place, when these are going to happen. I get nothing from them. I got the first one a long time ago, but I knew nothing more about it from them. So whether it's you guys or whether it's a big deal to us folks that live there. So whether it's you guys or those guys, people need to let the community know these things are taking place or they're not taking place. I think they were tonight.
And you're right across.
I'm 196, I'm right in the middle of it, I'm 50, 60 feet from it, so for me, you know, that's for everybody else, it's important, but just let us know and let the community be able to react, come to these things and be involved. We understand these people want to try and do these things like this, I get that, we're all for developments at some stage, but we need to be told and we need to be kept informed. And from the very first day, I like some record as well, Toll Brothers have treated this process on their first planning application pretty shoddily. They weren't prepared the first time they came. So let's just make sure that we hold them to a standard, and then you let the community know what you're looking at considering, so we can come and fairly put our position. If that's okay.
I think Mr. Lewis will undertake an investigation of what notices were or were not sent out, and whose responsibility that was.
If Toll Brothers hasn't sent out the proper notification, will you make sure they do at their cost?
Correct.
Yeah.
And if it's the township's responsibility to mail those out, I will do so again.
As long as somebody does, I think it's important we're all kept
It
informed.
sounds to me like you're going to, like everybody within 500 feet or whatever the ordinance requires will receive a new written notice of the January 22nd.
Regardless, either way, we'll get something.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best policy.
That's fair enough. Thank you.
You have to wait in line to speak, please. Thank you.
Hi, 28 years ago,
Can we have your name, please, for the record?
3 years of my life.
Sir, can we have your name for the record, please?
Your name and address.
Your name for the record.
Ewalt. I am an adjoining property owner to this ridiculous project. If I wanted a sewer treatment plant adjoining my property, which is the plan we were mailed, I would have moved to Ladler Street in Trenton.
Sir, can I ask that you limit your comments to the motion, which is to continue this hearing? The other comments dealt with notice and why this is being continued. We're not talking about whether you like the project or not tonight.
All right. What I would like this board to do is do their research and chase down the original will. I'm sure the guy that gave the Archdiocese
This goes to the project.
Don't cut me off.
I have to.
Don't cut me off. I'm sure that the person that donated that property did not intend to make a Fortune 500 company rich in the future. That was supposed to be a cemetery. Your township told me that before I invested 3 years of my life and all the money building my property. That's enough.
I would kindly ask that you restrict your comments to the motion. We have a record and we need to keep it clean and succinct. Thank you.
My name is Eric Pomerantz. I live at 2 Dorchester Lane. I think the confusion comes because the first time Toll came here with the 170 mixed use, there were a number of folks from the community, including myself, who came to that process in front of this board. At that time, since I live in Newtown Meadows, as do many of the other folks here, a discussion was held about the 500 feet. And a decision was granted at that time by you guys to give notice to the folks in Newtown Meadows as well as the people in, was it Devonshire Meadows. So we got notices because of that deviation from the 500 feet. I also got that certified letter that I had to go sign for, which did not have any date and did not, say anything. It was the thing that you saw a copy of tonight. But I got no notice from Toll about this night, about tonight. So, but you had decided previously that you would make sure that Toll noticed not only the people within 500 feet, but people that were in those two communities that will be directly affected by this. So I just wanted to remind you of what you did in terms of the notice and the fact that the Toll did not notice us this time. Maybe it's an oversight on their part, maybe it's an honest mistake, but to the gentleman's point, they weren't ready the first time they came in, remember? They were unprepared, and they came back the second time. And if you recall, after that second meeting where they were somewhat more prepared, the discussion was, you'll work it out with the community. We never heard from them again. Until now we have to see it come up on the patch. And you see again, now they've come with a different proposal. So yeah, there's a little bit of bad faith here because they never came back to us and said, okay, let's work out the issues around the first. They used your time, used our dollars because we pay for all this. And then they never came back to us and said, let's talk about your objections. No, we heard nothing from them. Now all of a sudden it's back with a different proposal. But we didn't get notified like they'd agreed we would. So I think that's what you need to understand. We'll come back on the 22nd. If they have a proposal to make, we'll have our comments. We'll ask our questions. We have lots of questions. Thank you.
Hello, good evening, board. My name is Roshan Sones. I'm not actually affected by this, but as a community member and someone from Kirkwood, if this were to happen across the street from us, just for best practices, I would think whatever they mail to the residents, they should also mail out to you so that you don't need to go around collecting things from everybody. You have a whole record of what they've been doing. So you can check here and now.
As an aside, that would have been something that we would have asked them to produce at the hearing and will ask them to produce at the hearing when it opens, when it ultimately commences.
Carol Urback, Delancey Court.
One more time.
Carol Urback, Delancey Court. Regarding the notices, if they are certified and if you're not home, you don't get it, and they don't bring them to the post office where you can sign, you just don't get it. That's what's happened in our development.
Ma'am, do you get a note? You get a postcard, a little orange or slip in your mailbox that tells you that you've got something certified waiting at the post office for you to go sign, because I've had that happen many times. Okay, I think there's a motion in a second, Mr.
Okay, I
Chairman.
have a motion and a second. Any further questions from the board? From the public, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 5-0. And we will get that information up onto the television prompter and the website. And Mr. Michael will find out about the mailing to the residents.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.